Have you ever been so done with life that you quietly wondered if disappearing would be easier? That's exactly the situation that I was in when I was 15. I was sitting in a hot car, letting the heat build up on a hot summer day. And out of nowhere, I decided that I want to end it all in this hot car. And as I was letting it happen, right before I made a permanent decision, a single quiet thought came into my mind. And I realized that I want to be there for the people around me. And that thought changed the trajectory of my life because from that moment, I decided not to end my life. That one moment became the start of a system I later built from scratch. It gives structure to the people who feel like they have nothing left. It's helped a lot of people rebuild their direction and discipline when everything else feels pointless. If you want more information on this, it's a completely free masterclass and it's linked below. But I didn't just magically bounce back after that moment. In fact, I kept doing something that nearly pulled me back down again, and you've probably done it too. So let's break that down next. After that day in the car, I didn't instantly change. I did have that flicker, but then I went back to doing what most people do when they're lost. I thought about changing. I planned on changing. But I kept waiting for the right moment to start. I would say things like, I'll start next week, or once school calms down, or after I get some proper sleep. That pause, that waiting, felt harmless in the moment, but here's the dangerous part. The longer I waited, the more I started convincing myself that maybe I didn't need to move at all, that maybe things were fine enough. It wasn't sadness or depression dragging me back down. It was numbness. This weird state where nothing felt urgent, nothing felt exciting, and nothing felt worth the effort. And the scariest part is that I almost stayed there. That's what a lot of people miss. When you survive a rock bottom moment, you don't always bounce back with fire. Sometimes you settle into this quiet, heavy fog, and you don't even realize you're sinking again. So if you've had a wake-up call moment similar to the one that I had in the car, don't wait for the perfect time to move. Momentum doesn't come before motion. You don't need a breakthrough. You need proof that you're not frozen. You need action. But let's say you do get moving again. That's when a much sneakier enemy shows up. The one that tells you it only counts if it's perfect. So let's solve that problem next. You finally start moving. You do the workout. You clean your desk. You write the first line of your assignment. And then the voice in your head shows up again, saying, if I'm not doing it right, why should I even bother? It disguises itself as high standards, as ambition, as discipline. But really, it's fear, because perfection isn't a standard, it's a stalling tactic. I used to fall for it all the time. If I missed one day of something, I would be like, I'll restart on Monday. So for example, if I wanted to go to the gym and I missed my Wednesday workout, I'd be like, oh, well, I missed push day. Looks like I need to wait till Monday to restart my whole routine. Or if you didn't finish part of a task, you might as well throw out the whole plan. But here's what that mindset never admits. Perfection is not the goal. Consistency is. Because consistency builds momentum, and momentum builds identity. The truth is, I didn't start rebuilding my life by doing everything right. I rebuilt it with 5-minute wins. Just enough to move, not enough to burn out. When the pressure to be perfect shows up, remember to lower the bar, deliberately. You can write one line. You can do one set at the gym. You can clean just one thing. It's not flashy, but it's what keeps you in the game. Because small motion is better than no motion. If this is hitting something real, you'll definitely want to see the full system that I teach, and you can get started by watching the free masterclass in the description below. It's a rhythm that works even when you don't feel ready. And even once you do everything right, sometimes it still feels like nothing's changing. And that's the moment most people give up. So let's fix that next. This is the part no one warns you about. You start sleeping earlier. You start eating better. You start keeping the promises you tell yourself. You're doing the work. But nothing actually changes. There's no fire, no breakthrough. Just this weird silence, like progress is happening for everyone except you. And sitting in that silence by yourself is brutal. Because if you were failing, at least you'd have something to fix, you know what I mean? But when you're doing it right and still feel stuck, it feels personal. Like you're saying, maybe I'm just broken. I definitely hit that wall hard back then. Every checklist said I was winning, but internally I felt nothing. No excitement, no clarity, just mechanical motion. Here's what I had to learn the hard way. Progress doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes the change is underground, like a seed growing before it ever breaks the surface. And if you stop watering that seed too soon, you never see it bloom. So stop looking for the dopamine spike. Instead, look for follow-through, not in results, but in rhythm. If you showed up today, that counts, I promise you. If you didn't quit on yourself, that's real. You don't need signs, you need stamina to keep going. Because the shift almost always comes after you've earned it. So let's say the progress does start showing. There's still one more trap waiting, and it's the one that makes success feel hollow. Let's break that down next. You're doing everything right. The habits are clicking, the rhythm's consistent, and from the outside, it looks like you've won. But on the inside, you feel nothing. Just like what I said in the last section, no spark, no fire, just checked boxes and muted days. That's where I ended up sometimes after the day in the car, months after getting consistent. I wasn't crashing, but I wasn't living either, because I thought the goal was motion. Turns out the real goal is connected motion. Doing the right things doesn't help if they don't mean anything to you. It's like playing a game you forgot you cared about. And that disconnection is dangerous because it makes you think you need more productivity when what you really need is meaning. It doesn't have to be deep, existential meaning for everything you do, just a reason that matters enough to keep going. Purpose doesn't have to be big, it just has to be anchored to your faith, to your values, to the people you want to show up for. In these situations, I think of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Even when his body was weakened by illness, he would still lead prayer. It wasn't for show, but it was to stay connected to what mattered. Your spark won't always be bright, but presence keeps the flame alive. Even with rhythm, purpose, and momentum, there's still one reason people fall back to zero. It's the pattern nobody talks about, and it's where I'll end the video off with what I say next. You've probably seen this play out before. You crash, you get back up, you build some momentum, then you fall off again. Each time, it gets harder to start over. Not because you're weaker, but because the weight feels heavier. Eventually, a quiet thought creeps in, saying, what if this is just who I am? That thought is definitely not a reflection of the truth. It's just what repetition does to your mind. Your system starts expecting failure. And if you don't rewrite this system, the cycle keeps winning. I built the 21-day reset system because I got tired of restarting. Tired of hitting rock bottom and having nothing that could hold me there when I needed it the most. I didn't want motivation, I wanted rhythm. One that still worked when I felt like a ghost. If this video hit something real in you, don't let it be a spark that fades. The free masterclass is linked below, and it breaks down the system that's helped many people rebuild when nothing else worked. If you've failed 100 times before, this might be the one that sticks. Because even when you have the right system, there's one thing that can still pull it all apart. And it's the reason your motivation vanishes right when your goals finally start to matter. It's not resistance, it's your biology. And if you don't understand it, you might keep falling off no matter what tools you have. And if you want a solution, you can watch my last video because that's where a lot of your rebuild begins.